he could rent out the Funtime animatronics to local birthday parties, capture kids, and bring them back to his underground bunker to be experimented on. While Afton was running his rental business, Fazbear Entertainment was determined to try opening another pizzeria. In the summer of 1987, Fazbear Entertainment opened the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, this time with brand new versions of their original characters. These were called the Toy Animatronics, and they were once again built by Henry. Henry was aware of what happened in 1985, and especially of what happened to his daughter, so he was determined to make sure that never happened again. These new toy animatronics were equipped with facial recognition systems that were linked directly to a criminal database. The security puppet was also brought out of retirement, but instead of working security, it sat quietly in the prize corner. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, and Spring Bonnie were also moved to the new pizzeria, and it's revealed that these animatronics were mostly used for spare parts.
By now, I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them, but they were just so ugly, you know?
Damn.
The smell.
This means that the haunted metal of the original Freddy's animatronics was now being put into the toy animatronics, causing the toys to also now be possessed. After Afton got away with the first set of murders,
we do see in the Save Them minigame in FNAF 2 that another set of kids were killed at the pizzeria. So I'm pretty sure it's those kids who possess the toys, not
animatronics. In order to see for himself, Afton went back to work at the new pizzeria as a daytime security guard. While Afton was working the day shift, Jeremy Fitzgerald was working the night shift. Jeremy worked there for 5 nights, and unfortunately for him, because the kids possessing the animatronics were killed by an adult, they were extremely aggressive to any adult they encountered.
They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult,
they just stare.
Meanwhile, Afton decided to pull the same trick he did at the old Freddy's location, gaining 5 more victims.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it.
Afton used the Spring Bonnie suit to pull the same stunt again on 5 more kids. But as he was committing the murders, Charlie from inside the puppet was actively trying to save the kids. She tried enlisting the help of the other animatronics, but it was too late. Afton had already finished what he started. Not only that, him seeing the puppet and Freddy walking around the pizzeria trying to stop him was all the proof he needed that his experiments were successful. The kids he put into the original suits were haunting the animatronics. But there was one problem. Afton knew that the haunted metal of the endoskeletons was the key to everything, but the animatronics were trapped at the pizzeria. There was no way he could bring them back to his underground bunker. He couldn't get to the animatronics if the pizzeria was still open and active.
I do think Afton has pretty much control over the animatronics at this point. I don't think John thinks that, because he didn't really bring that up at all. But I do think it's kind of like what we see in the movie where William kind of just influences the spirits to do things.
So he needed to find a way to make sure the pizzeria shuts down, and fast. Instead of stuffing the new set of victims into the toy animatronics, he decided to leave the kids out in plain sight, scattered throughout the pizzeria. This was a guaranteed way to get the pizzeria shut down. A few hours after Afton committed the murders, Jeremy Fitzgerald showed up for his night shift, unaware of what happened that day.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay?
The next day, during Jeremy's day shift, one of the animatronics bit him in the head. This was infamously known as the Bite of 87. Meanwhile, Afton successfully got the pizzeria shut down. The local newspaper wrote about the incident, saying, after being open only a few short weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization capitalization of the company. Since the toy animatronics were now being scrapped, he knew he could get away with taking their endoskeletons. But he also knew that he couldn't risk showing his face at the pizzeria again, so he got his oldest son Michael to do the work for him. William was easily able to get Michael to do whatever he wanted. William was abusive and manipulative, while Michael was haunted by the guilt of what he did to his younger brother. Because of this, Michael basically acted as William's puppet. Michael showed up for the night shift at the now closed Freddy Fazbear's Pizza under a code name, Fritz Smith. At the end of his shift, he would successfully steal the toy animatronics endoskeletons for his father, causing him to get fired his first day on the job due to tampering with the animatronics. As it said in the local newspaper,
I don't think
while
Michael and
Fazbear
William were
Entertainment
working
scrapped
together.
the toy animatronics, the original
really
Freddy,
buy
Bonnie,
that.
Chica, and Foxy were going to be fixed up and reused, and that's exactly what they did. After the 1987 Freddy's location shut down, they opened yet another location, this time using the exact same building as the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. As you can imagine, this didn't work out great for the business. People already had a bad impression of Fazbear Entertainment, so using the same building that the original murders took place in didn't help business. Customers barely showed up to the new pizzeria, leading it to shut down by the end of 1993. Although this was bad news for Fazbear Entertainment, this was great news for William Afton. Afton was able to acquire the endos of the toy animatronics, but that wasn't enough. He needed all of the haunted endoskeletons, especially the ones in the original animatronics. Once the pizzeria shut down, Afton came up with a plan to steal the endos from the animatronics. Each pizzeria was designed with something called a safe room.
As always, if there is ever an emergency, please go to the designated safe room. Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed into the animatronics or security system. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera.
This room was hidden from guests and invisible to the animatronics. Afton would use this to his advantage, luring each of the animatronics to the safe room and dismantling them one by one. The kids possessing these animatronics were the same kids he lured into the back room all those years ago. He planned to use the same trick to lure the same kids all over again.
Okay, that I agree with. We're into good old FNAF 1 office. Oh yeah. Animation is really good once again.
Once he finished dismantling each animatronic and stealing their endoskeleton, he brought them down to his underground bunker, where he would melt them all down into one liquid substance called Remnant. Not only did Afton rob these kids of their lives, he would use their souls long after they're gone for his own personal gain.
That's fucked up. Oh my gosh, that is so fucking sad. That's horrible. Oh man, that is horrible. Oh, that is so sad. I shouldn't be laughing. That's actually really sad. Those poor kids, man. so filled with thought, life, and all trapped in terrible pain. Damn! Oh my gosh. That's so sad.
By melting down the endos, he successfully created Remnant. This substance, containing the spirits of all of the missing children, was silver in color, and if kept at the right temperature, was malleable. Afton didn't want to risk testing the Remnant on himself, so he injected it into the Funtime animatronics. Once he did, the animatronics jumped to life. The experiment had worked. William Afton unlocked the power of life itself. After his successful experiment, he went back to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to collect his old spring Bonnie suit. But once he got there, he was met with the spirits of the 5 missing children, trapping him inside the safe room. Cassidy, the spirit inside Golden Freddy, chased Afton around the room and forced him to get into the spring Bonnie suit. Cassidy was the most vengeful spirit of them all. Being spring-locked in the Fredbear suit was a painful and slow death, and he wanted to make sure that Afton knew what that felt like. At this point, Afton knew how a spirit could live on. As long as he was inside the suit, he knew he'd be back.
I always come back. Oh, that's the audio from Into the Pit. That's cool. That's pretty bass. I love that audio.
As Afton laughed, the spring locks snapped shut, forcing him to go through what Cassidy went through. This was an act of revenge by Cassidy, and it wouldn't be the last.
I don't think Cassidy
remembers
dying.
Confined to the safe room of the now shut down Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and because of this, everything in his underground bunker was left abandoned. But even with Afton gone, the rental business continued on its own. All of the Funtime animatronics containing the spirits of the missing children and even his daughter Elizabeth were still being rented out during the day and then brought right back down to the bunker. All the spirits wanted to do was escape, but they were always put back underground. After Afton went missing, his eldest son Michael, who's been blindly helping his father, remembered what his father told him if he ever went missing. If William wasn't there to finish his work, Michael would do it for him. Afton's underground facility was always off limits to Michael, but since he was now gone, Michael had no choice. He took the elevator down to where his father worked every day. Although Michael was helping out his father by stealing some of the endos from the animatronics back in the day, he never exactly knew what William was doing until he got down into the bunker.
I love this.
Over the several days he visited the bunker, he learned more about what his father was up to. He learned about the massive facility his father built, complete with multiple rooms conducting fear experiments. He learned the truth behind the Funtime animatronics and how they were actually designed to kidnap kids. And he learned through the voice of Baby exactly how his sister died.
A little girl, standing by herself. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. I couldn't move, at least not until she stepped closer.
But as the week went on, Baby was conducting a plan of her own. A plan to escape the bunker, using Michael's body. Elizabeth was no longer the person Michael remembered her as. She was entirely devoted to her father, and would do anything to make him proud of her. At the end of the week, all of the Funtime animatronics endos were scooped out, with all of them combining into one animatronic, called Ennard. This creature, containing the spirits of the missing kids and Elizabeth, knew they wouldn't be able to escape the bunker looking like an animatronic. They needed a human body to walk around in.
The scooper only hurts for a
You
moment.
are in the scooping room now. Funtime Foxy has already been here today. Funtime Freddy has already been here today. Melora has already been here today. Circus Baby has already been here today. I've been out before, but they always put me back. They always put us back inside. There's nowhere for us to hide here. There is nowhere to go. when we look like this. But if we looked like you, then we could hide. If we looked like you, then we would have somewhere to go. The scooper only hurts for a moment.
Michael Afton's insides got scooped out and replaced by Ennard, helping all of the souls to escape the facility. With every passing day after this happened, Michael looked more and more like a walking zombie. His skin was starting to turn purple, and people started to notice. Michael's body was no longer a good disguise for Ennard, so Ennard ejected itself from Michael. But because the scooper was also a Remnant injector, when
scalable
Michael
creation of
Afton was
ulterior
scooped, he was
presence.
also injected with Remnant. The Remnant made it so even after Ennard was gone, he was still able to survive. With Michael now back in full.
And now I have another disagreement. I do think because of the whole hearing babies say you won't die over and over again, I do think that's meant to imply that Elizabeth was the one who brought him back to life. But just a minor thing.
Control of his body, he had a new mission. Although he did, one way or another, successfully free his sister from the underground facility, he also learned about all of his father's terrible misdeeds. His loyalty to his father turned to disgust. It was time for him to end all of this.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now.
Yeah.
But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you.
Michael would spend years searching for his father with no luck, until a new ad in the local newspaper caught his attention. Someone decided to open something called Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction. Local amusement park is getting ready to scare your socks off with a new attraction based on the unsolved mysteries of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Featuring actual relics from the decades-old pizzeria, this new attraction is guaranteed to bring back your childhood in the worst possible way. As if using the crimes of his father to make a profit wasn't bad enough, they also went back to the old pizzerias and collected any objects they could find to put on display at the attraction. Michael immediately applied for the job of the security guard with the sole intention of burning the place to the ground. When he got there, he saw the remnants of his past, the shells of all of the animatronics, missing
Phantoms.
every single one of their endoskeletons. He knew they could only find the shells of the animatronics because he and his father stole their endoskeletons all those years ago, leaving only the shells behind. On day 2 of working at the attraction, he got word that they found a real animatronic.
You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one.
This
His
real
dad.
animatronic ended up being his father, still inside the spring Bonnie suit he died in decades ago. Even though his father was now in the building with him, he still decided to go through on his plan, all in an effort to end his father once and for all. Michael then rigged the wiring in the building to catch fire, burning the horror attraction to the ground with his father inside. The local
dope-ass
newspaper
music.
would write about the fire, saying a new local attraction based on an ancient pizzeria chain burned down overnight. Authorities have not ruled out foul play, but at the moment it seems to have been caused by faulty wiring. Although the fire destroyed most of everything in the building, William, miraculously, was able to survive. William was now free, roaming the outside world along with the souls of the missing children, Elizabeth,
dun,
and
dun.
Charlie inside the puppet. Since
Bum,
Michael
bum,
wasn't able to
bum.
end everything,
Sorry.
someone else needed to step in. someone. That someone was Henry Emily. Afton's old business partner and father of Charlie heard about the fire at Fazbear's Fright, along with the rumors of the various animatronic creatures now roaming the streets. Henry was determined to put an end to all of this.
Doesn't really go into why or how Henry knows about the supernatural.
Monster that I unwillingly
helped
to create.
Pizza Sim didn't really give an explanation either on how Henry just kind of knew about everything, but I feel like that's still something that kind of needs to get explained in timelines, because that's the thing I've noticed with a lot of FNAF timelines. It's just Henry just knows what's going on somehow. I feel like that just people, when they make timelines, should just try to explain that. I did when I did my timeline, like I gave him a run-in with Molten Freddy, and I had him like go to the pizzeria and meet the puppet. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I just think that's something that should be done in timelines.
Humiliate, to destroy, as if the suffering wasn't enough. The loss of innocence, the loss of everything to so many people. Small souls trapped in prisons of my making, now set to new purpose, and used in ways I never thought imaginable. He lured them all back to a familiar place, back with familiar tricks. He brought them all together. Are they still aware? I hope not. It keeps me awake at night. I could make myself sleep, but not yet. Not until I undo what he has done and heal this wound. A wound first inflicted on me, but then one that I let bleed out to cause all of this. He set some kind of trap. I don't know what it was, but he led them there again. He overpowered them again, and he robbed them of the only thing that they had again. I don't know how those tiny breaths of life came to inhabit those machines, but they will never find rest now, not like this. I have to call them all back, all of them, together in one place.
By gathering all of the animatronics in one place and locking them in the same room, he would be able to burn them all to the ground for good, effectively freeing their spirits in the process. In order to do this, Henry created a new restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. He knew that the spirits and William couldn't resist coming back to a new location, even if it was all just a trap. Charlie was different though. She was smarter than the rest, so Henry knew she wouldn't be as easily fooled. So he created an animatronic called Lefty, standing for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract, specifically to capture the puppet and bring it to the pizzeria. While trying to find someone that would help him carry out his plan, one person showed up for the job. A person who was also determined to finally end all of this, Michael Afton. Day after day, the animatronics roaming the streets would show up in the alleyway next to the pizzeria. Baby, aka Elizabeth, the souls of the missing children and the crying child, now appearing as Molten Freddy, Charlie and Lefty, and his father, William, all showed up in the back alley. Michael would then collect each animatronic and throw them into a facility under the pizzeria, designed to be a maze with no exit, where the animatronics would roam around without even knowing they're trapped, until the end of the week, where they would all be burned to the ground. With all of the souls, including William himself, now in one place, Henry's plan was in motion. As far as Elizabeth and William were concerned, this was a good thing. All of this remnant now in one place was all that they wanted, until Henry stepped in.
You played right into our hands. Did you
gonna play
really
the Henry
think
speech,
that this
ain't it?
job just fell out of the sky for you? No, this was a gift for us. You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to. All of those little souls in one place, just for us. A gift. Now we can do what we were created to do and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Love that.
Henry putting fire to the animatronics may have freed the spirits from the metal of the robots, but some of them still needed help actually moving on into the afterlife. This help would come from Charlie. She helped guide the spirits into the robots. Now she would help them move on. In the world of Five Nights at Freddy's, the way a spirit can move on is by them being put into a happy memory. The memory Charlie chose actually comes from the crying child and the day he got bit. Piece by piece, Charlie put that terrible, shattered memory back together, but this time she would change it into a happy memory. Instead of the crying child getting bit on his birthday, Charlie changed it so that all of the missing kids and Charlie would celebrate him.
I think the only thing I disagree with is I think Cassidy is the one who goes through the happiest day minigames and like fixes all the memories and stuff. But other than that, I also think that happens during FNAF 3, not after Pizza Sim. Like, I think this is all stuff that happens during FNAF 3. Other than that, I agree.
Giving him a giant birthday cake. By changing that terrible memory into a happy one and attaching
I also
all
believe
of the spirits
Cassidy
to it,
is the
they were
happiest
able
day
to
receiver
successfully
instead
pass
of
into the
Garrett.
afterlife.
Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, Jeremy. And Cassidy. Oh yeah, there's Cassidy's grave. And Charlie's in the back! Aww. Happy ending. I do hope the third movie
Like I
shows
said,
us the kids
they were
resting
all able
happiest
to move
day.
on. Except for one.
Andrew. He's probably gonna say Cassidy.
Cassidy, the most vengeful spirit of them all, wasn't done yet. He decided to attach his soul to Williams, making sure that William was unable to move on. By attaching his spirit to Williams, he was able to trap Afton in an endless loop
I agree, except that I think it's Andrew who does that.
of death. He made Afton relive every one of his terrible misdeeds. The fear experiments, his underground bunker, and the pizzeria where Cassidy was killed. Afton experienced all of this while being attacked and killed over and over again by all of the animatronics from his past. Every time an animatronic would attack him, Cassidy would be
Andrew.
there, reminding him that the suffering will never end.
We've only just begun. I will never let you leave. I will never let you rest.
Damn.
He tried to release you. He tried to release us, but I'm not gonna let that happen. I will hold you here. I will keep you here, no matter how many times they burn us.
Cassidy knew that Afton didn't deserve the afterlife. He deserved to pay for what he's done for all of eternity.
I mean, hell also does the job just
But
fine.
If you keep up with the franchise, you know that that's not the end of the story. Like I said at the beginning of the video, making a FNAF timeline is not easy, no matter what anyone says. In broad strokes, you can explain the basic plot, but once you get down to the motivations and the why of everything, you have to start filling in the blanks yourself. Some people who've helped me fill in the blanks that I'd like to shout out are Right Host for his theory about Cassidy being spring-locked in Golden Freddy. I think that makes a lot of sense and is really satisfying for the narrative. Also, I'd like to shout out MattPat for his theory about Midnight Motorist. After trying to figure that minigame out for years, I think your explanation makes the most sense. It's important for me to say that no one except for Scott Cawthon himself knows the exact story he was trying to tell. So please make sure to watch other people's timelines as well and come to your own conclusion on everything. And when the time is right, I'll be back to tackle the newer games in this franchise. Until then,
I was
make sure to
thinking,
subscribe.
like, wondering if I should do a timeline, like, talking about, like, the Steelwool games. That arc is obviously not complete. Maybe when Steelwool completes their whole, like, Mimic arc or whatever you want to call it, which probably, realistically, probably won't be till, like, 2028 or something like that. But I think I might do something similar to the narrative timeline I did, but with the Steelwool stuff.
And thanks for watching.
That was good. I agreed with a lot more of that than I thought I would. That's the credits. You know what? Let's watch the credits. Just for everyone who helped work on that amazing video. That video was very, very amazing. This music sounds a lot like Loki. Great job. There's a clap. That was so good. That was super good. Yeah. Wonderful job, John. So I agreed with quite a lot of that timeline. Like, I don't think there was very much that I disagreed with. I think only minor things. I think I disagree with, like, the death order. He said Garrett, Charlie, Elizabeth, MCI. Personally, I think it's Charlie, Garrett, Elizabeth, MCI. So there's that. And then I also think Michael has the nightmares a lot later in the timeline. Like, there's some minor things that I disagree with, but for a lot, I actually did agree with a lot of this. So yeah, great job. And the animation was really good. And yeah, go subscribe to FNAF. He's a great YouTuber and deserves the love and support. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Great job with the timeline. Thank you all for watching. Link to his channel in the description. And I'll see you all in my next videos as well. Bye, everyone.